Okay, and welcome to Small Market REI Podcasts. I'm David Dean, and this is my co-host, Travis Goodwin. This is episode number 2, and we think the normal progression is how do we get started? Uh, how do you get started in the real estate investment business? What is some real life tips that you guys have used to, get started and maybe even still use to this day to find deals in these small markets? And once again, our definition is markets under 250,000 people. We live in counties and we work in counties that, are 50,000, 55,000, 60,000, 70,000. I even worked in counties 30, 15, 18,000. So, just a small market type stuff. So, um, Travis, in your opinion, what would be some ideas for just a newbie out here, working a job, wanting to improve their life, wanting to get started? Where would you start if you started over today, day one? What would you do?
That's a good question, David. I would probably do the same thing that I did when I first got started because, the thing about real estate is we have a lot of new things that come in with technology and that, AI
Yes.
and all this stuff. But when it comes down to it, all of the old stuff still works. So what I would probably do is I remember, nowadays you have things like Deal Machine. But I would have a pen and a notepad and I would drive around in areas and I would look for sale by owner signs, which you don't see much of them anymore, but they're still around.
Mm-hmm.
I would look for those signs and I would look for signs of distress. I would look for high grass, where it hasn't been cut. Let's say the mailbox has mail flowing out of it, might be a tarp on the roof, boarded up windows. So I'm looking for stuff like that. And, I'm going to write down addresses. I'm going to look up phone numbers. And like I said, today it's a lot easier to do. Um, and I would just reach out to these property owners and I'd explain who I am, that I'm trying to buy a house and ask them if they'd be interested in selling.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the main things that I would do. Um,
Right.
what do you think?
Well, I mean, that still works to this day. Just the basic, simple stuff. I mean, like you say, there's a lot of stuff competing for your attention and money and when it gets right down to it, it's just good old fashioned guerrilla marketing. That I always tell people the secret to success in just about anything, particularly real estate investment, is be willing to do what other people are not willing to do. So people don't want to knock on a door. People don't want to pick up the phone. You know, everybody wants to sit behind a computer and find it. And this is a people business. And let's face it, a lot of people with the most amount of real estate are older and may not be connected to the world that you want to live in and you want to find them in. They may not be, connected to the internet, and they might not be on social media, and they might not be searching Google. You know, that's just not what they do. So you've got to be able to reach out, and talk to people. Sometimes a good old fashioned piece of mail is a good way to do it. And I'm not saying for a beginner to go out and buy a list and start mailing. I'm saying find a distressed house and find out who owns the house. And now in most counties, you got systems that you can find who, they got either through the assessor's office or something like that. You can find out, who owns a piece of property. Okay. Now, in small markets, in these counties, is not always the case. You just can't go to the courthouse and find out on the GIS system that who owns property, because that's the kind of market I grew up in. And a lot of small counties don't have the money to completely computerize their entire system in these counties. If you're in a county 6, 8, 10, 15, 20,000 people, sometimes they don't have it. So you still, you have to go to the courthouse and look at land books or look at something like that. Something that I always done, and this is kind of a hack that I always used. I always tried to think of a way to kind of hack the system is when I would see a house in an area and I liked it and I liked the area that it was in, I would just uh, number one, look for the postal person that's delivering mail or the UPS or the FedEx. They know everything. post the mail carriers, UPS, FedEx, they know, particularly UPS. UPS people know everything's going on in the neighborhood. And you can say, hey, man, this house is sitting empty here, Mel. What do you know about it? And they'll know because most of the time, the UPS carriers have been working that market, for years. And they say, well, the parents died, the kids are out of state, and they say, hey, well, how do I get a hold of them? Well, the lady over here, two doors down, she communicates with the family. They're out of state. Boom, down, knock on the door, find out, get a mailing address, get a phone number, and that's how you find deals. Now, that's not sitting behind a computer looking at it. That's called getting out here driving for dollars and doing the hustle. But UPS, FedEx, mail carriers, uh, sometimes you see the water guys in a neighborhood for the city or the county working. Those guys know stuff. Hey, man, what's going on at this house? So, you'd be surprised how much information if you just open your mouth and ask people. So that would be my hack to finding deals in markets. We see I think you briefly touched on this dealing with real estate agents. We
Yeah.
talked about that. Sometimes if you're looking for rentals and stuff like that, real estate agents are a good source of rental properties. They can, real estate agents are dialed into the market and I love real estate agents. I've been a broker all my life and, I'm not one of those REI guys that want to throw down on agents. I mean, I think they're invaluable in a real estate deal, always invaluable. I mean, they're just can't put enough value on an agent, and that's why we always, try to work with them as much as possible and make it a good deal and a partnership. And we want agents working with us all the time, bringing us deals. So, that in and of itself is one of the big things they have. If you have an MLS, they have MLS access for you. They can look stuff up, they can comp stuff out, uh, you know. Um, so yeah, agents are a big part of it when you're starting out for sure. And they're a big part as you move forward. And what do you got, Travis, after that, after agents?
And I think it's important to just, it's progress, not perfection. You don't,
Right.
everything doesn't have to be look professional. I would say when you're just starting off, it's better to be the neighbor who's interested than the company who's interested. And, maybe just get you a little, those yellow sticky notes, carry
Hmm.
them around with you and put, hey there, I have a question about the house. Please call me, Travis, with your phone number.
Right.
Leave it on the door.
Yeah. Simple.
Yep. I,
Yeah.
you leave out a bunch of those, you're going to get calls. You're going to get people interested, especially, and just make sure you're not just putting them on everybody's door. Make sure you're looking for signs of vacancy and things like that. Because those are the houses you're really wanting to get, the houses that need some work so you can make the neighborhood better.
Yeah. 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 And you can tell. I mean, just driving through, you see the houses that's set with the grass grown up or the meter's been pulled on the side of the house or, the mail's piled up on the porch. I mean, those are sometimes gold mines, for us in the real estate investment space. And probably the last thing I would suggest is I would find a mentor. I would find somebody to partner with. I mean, we've talked about this before. It's hardly ever talked about. Everybody wants to sell you a system. Everybody wants to sell you a CRM. Everybody wants to sell you PPC, SEO, and all that stuff is great, but that's down the road a piece. You know, just find somebody that's doing deals. Find a guy in the neighborhood or a woman in the neighborhood that's flipping houses or doing what you want to do, and go talk to them. And offer your services for free for a bit. You know, don't go to them and say, "Well, I want to pick your brain," because you're not going to pick their brain if they've been in the business for years. I mean, it takes years to learn what's going on, but you can really shortcut this business if you can get somebody to work with you and involve you in the deal, and you provide some services to them, and maybe bring a deal to them and partner with them on a deal. That is another quick way to kind of get yourself into business and start making a little bit of money and start mainly learning what's going on with the business. and learn what they're doing and what's working in that market. So what do you think? You got anything after that?
No, man, I think that we just, gave a lot of value for those who's wanting to get started. And, whether you're looking to partner with people or go through real estate agents or drive around and do the hustle for houses, I think those are all good ways to get started.
Yeah, I do too. So that's just real quick. That's episode number two. How do we get started? Starting from nothing. So that gives you a little bit of background, basically how we got started, and some of these things we still do. I mean, you still be out and I see a house, and if I see the UPS or the mail carrier or whatever, hey, what's going on with this house over here? And you'll be amazed at how much information that they have. Another quick thing before we go, I was going to talk about this is um, I used to do this a lot is burned out landlords. Landlords have been doing it for 20, 30 years, tired of dealing with them. And I used to talk to the people that work down in magistrate court that do all the evictions and all the paperwork and stuff like that. And I used to get a lot of data. I don't know in other counties or other states, but in West Virginia, they have a public access terminal in magistrate court that you can go in and you can see all the filings for evictions and who's filing to evict people. And that's usually your landlords. And so there's just a wealth of information in your local magistrate court. So if you know some people there in magistrate court, they can give you, who's in here and saying, man, I'm so tired of this stuff. And I can't wait to sell my rentals and get out of this business. And so that's just another little hack for you there, and it's a good place to start. Um, so we're going to wrap it up with that. Thank you for watching. Thank you to my co-host Travis Goodwin, and be sure to share our podcast out there. If we created some value for you, share it, and on our social media, try to like, follow, subscribe. Thank you for watching.